Hey, this is Al Bain from Al Bain for Leather, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about a package I received in the mail. It came from Recent Relic Designs, but the funny part about it is that the return address label says Barbara Craig, law offices of Barbara Craig, and I thought to myself, oh no, what kind of trouble could I be in? But then when I opened it, I was pleasantly surprised to realize it was the aluminum tables from Recent Relic Design that modify a cylinder bed machine into a flatbed, which is theoretically an upgrade from the wooden table that the Leather Machine Company produces for their machines. Okay, so I reached out to them a few weeks ago and I said, hey, you know what, why don't you send me the tables, let me try them out, we can give you an objective perspective, say that 10 times real fast and see if you can get away with it, and then see what we come up with and whether, you know, these designs are suitable in the application. Do they work the way they're advertised, or are they exceeding those expectations or coming in short? So here we go. Let's take a closer look and see what we can come up with. Bye-bye. This is my Class 4, the way it's set up every day. I use the swing down edge guide and the swing out edge guide at the same time. You'll ask yourself, why would you do something silly like that? Well, the swing out edge guide, I pull it over here. I utilize the swing down for the real close up right up against the presser foot. And then the next pass, I'll slide this guy in and do the next increment over and then move it back out, slide the next one in, slide the first strap through, the first pass, bring it over, align the next one, boom, and done. The only bummer about this is that you can't use them both at the same time because of the edge guide. The swing down will bump into the top of the roller and then it doesn't quite reach the bed. I mean, if you're sewing real thick, maybe that would work, but I end up having to move the roller edge guide out of the way. I've been doing it like this for years, okay? So it's really efficient for the processes that I do. It's really windy right now, so please bear with me. But at the same time, we'll see how this works with the new tables. All right, hang out. Okay, so this is the Clover Class 4 with the roller edge guide extension bracket ready to receive a table, right? So the unfortunate thing is that when you put this guy in place, it won't line up and allow you to use the edge guide. Let me see if it'll go under. Nope. That's kind of a bummer because it eliminates the function of the roller edge guide. All right, let's move on to the next step and see how that works. Okay, so I've removed the swing out edge guides bracket and put it aside, and then I've returned the original accessory mounting plate. To me, this thing's just absolutely obsolete, but if you're going to mount a folder or something, you kind of have to have it. So if you're going to mount like an edging folder or whatever, then you're going to need this part. So if you do have this machine, don't throw this piece away because it will come in handy in the future. Okay, so let's go back to installing the plate. I mean the tabletop. So let's just check and see if the tabletop works with the accessory plate. And look at that. Voila, it looks like it's going to be a perfect fit around the throat plate and the accessory plate. Now we have to figure out their configuration for the mounting system under here. So let's go over here and take a look at their parts. Okay, so what you see here is the tabletop itself. This one's for the Class 4, the 441 clones, okay? And this little aluminum bracket. I mean, it's a pretty nice piece. I mean, it's obviously done on a CNC. They've got some double sticky tape, and I was goofing around with it earlier, so don't mind their little notch out, but it was just a couple inches of tape. A couple flathead screws, and then this, I guess it's a plastic thing. I don't know. I'm not an expert on plastics, but it does not feel like metal or wood, so it's obviously going to be a plastic or something. But there it is, and it looks like a spacer. And they've included some instructions that said that these screws are extremely hard to get and expensive, so I'm not going to lose them. But I'm going to go review their instructions and see exactly what they suggest, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've read the little instructions. It says that I should double sticky tape these pieces underneath so that it lives with the machine or with the table all the time, and then theoretically it'll be an easy bolt up to mount it on the machine. So what I need to do right now is go see that my machine, because it's really old, is threaded to the pitch of this particular screw. Okay, so here we go. This is the area where they want to mount it, and I'm going to just simply thread the screw in there. And looks like it's going right on in there. Somebody did their research and got the right screws at least. And like all these machines, who knows if there's ever been a real standard for any of this stuff. But at this point, we got lucky. Look at that. Screws right in. All right, let's go get the particular parts and line this stuff up. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've taken the little plastic block and the aluminum piece and fit it into the space that's cut into the surface of the arm. Okay, I don't really have a choice. They may suggest that you put the plastic the other way up toward the table, but the fit is so tight that there's no way the aluminum is going to fit in there. It just will not go unless I take it over to the grinder and do whatever. So to be fair, I'm putting it in and then kind of force feeding it down into the hole so that it kind of fits. There it goes. Okay, might take a little bit of a whacking to get it in there, and then I'm going to want to line up the screw holes really accurately because there's no room for error. These guys, they machine this stuff obviously with a CNC, and maybe they even gone as far as to scan this thing and 3D print it or something. I don't know, but they're really nice parts. There's no room for error, so you kind of got to make sure everything's lined up. So here I go, and the screws are going to get there sooner or later. Let me use an awl and kind of force everything to line up. Yeah, that's not easy, but you know, we will persevere. The tolerances are just really tight. I mean, kudos to whoever was able to measure this accurately. That's why I suspect that they scanned it with a 3D scanner. Technology these days is just awesome. Like that. Okay, so that little block is pretty lined up. And here comes the little aluminum piece. It's going to sit right on top. Now slide the table piece in and set it on there. Doesn't look like it's lining up perfectly level. Let's see what happens when we install the screws. Let's try it without the aluminum wedge. Wow, that's pretty level. Okay, so in this scenario, I don't think we're using the aluminum piece. First screw went right in there. Look at that. That gives me hope for the future. Second one. I'm sure after we wear out this, break them in, because there's probably paint and whatnot in there. Little screwdriver, here go. I was looking for a stubby screwdriver earlier. I don't think I even have one anymore. But, I mean, that's no big deal. Fit right in there. Okay, so there it is. There's two screws. But maybe we have to crank it down a little more. That seems pretty stable. Wow, that's impressive. I mean, it's on there. Okay, so now It's nice and level with the surface of the throat. Bobbin change will be interesting because I'll have to do it in the opposite configuration with the opening of the bobbin case facing down. So, in that position, so like a good 3/4 of an inch past the top dead center. Haven't done it like this in a long time. That wasn't too bad. Can still get into the bobbin case, bobbin compartment. It's all in there. The only bummer is that the swing out edge guide is gone, but they have their edge guide system. So hope is not lost. Let's see what happens. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so these are the parts that came with the edge guide system. So there's 2 guides, 4 little thumb screw threaded Allens. That's pretty neat. Apparently it's an Allen screw with a knob cap on top of it, and then these little flanged wing nuts. So let's take that over to the machine and see how that works. Okay, so logic says that the smooth part is up rather than the wing nut, so let's put it in. I mean, that's pretty nice, right? I don't think I would want to see it the other way around with this wing nut sticking up, right? So that's just not elegant. But I mean, to keep in time with everything these folks have been doing, these are nice parts. They look really nice. Okay, I'm going to put it facing down, put the wing nut on the bottom. Seems to make up pretty easy. And then we do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay. There that piece is. Okay, there are the increments. Okay, I'm going to loosen it up. Seems to be pretty easy to operate, except it's bumping the throat plate right there. I don't think I can get over to the throat plate without raising it up a pretty good amount. But there it is, it's over the throat plate. But if I go to tighten this up, it's going to bend it. Okay, and for me, I don't understand these cutouts. Okay, it's got this notch out here. I like to stitch right up against the side of the foot. So let me show you how I use the swing down for that. Okay. I get my swing down edge guide right up against the edge of the presser foot. Literally touching it. Okay? Because I want a 1/16 of an inch seam allowance along the edge of my guitar straps that I make. I make a lot of guitar straps, so I like that edge right up along there. It's more, like 3/16 actually, but then my second pass with my swing out edge guide. So maybe we can do that with this piece fixated in its position for the second pass. But I don't know how I'm going to do that with this notch. So maybe the whole piece has to go in upside down facing the opposite direction. Okay, give me a moment. For the sake of conversation and so that you can see what I was talking about with the 2 edge passes. So this is a ringtail lizard guitar strap. Okay, so you see right here about a little bit over 1/8 of an inch in. That's the first pass that I do with the swing down guide. Okay, so it fits right up against there, and there it is. Okay, so then the second pass, I slide my swing out guide and bring it right alongside, and then I get my second pass right in there. Okay, but now we're going to attempt to do the same thing with this guide and this one. But it can't work the same way because there's not enough clearance to allow the swing down to fit in there unless I flip it over. But then how do I accurately navigate the tip so that my stitching is parallel all the way around the tip, which is what the swing out edge guide allows me to do. Okay, the swing out would be located somewhere about like that, and it would allow me to track right along the edge of the leather piece and have a perfectly parallel line all the way around the tip of the strap. Okay, so it's not a deal breaker by any means. You just have to figure out how to make it work for you. And you always hear me say, my shop, my rules, your shop, your rules. So I'm not telling you that that's how you have to do anything. I'm just saying that I'm scratching my head about how to make this work for me in my environment and the way I do, because I make a lot of that exact product, and it's an instant quick change where this would be cumbersome and in the way. And I don't think it's a fair thing until I actually do a couple, because, you know, to be honest, these are really nice looking parts. It just, I can't visualize how it's actually going to work in my work environment with the production processes that we do using this particular machine. And on top of the fact that I don't normally use a table, right? So I usually run the machine bare cylinder arm, and then if I have to have a table, I'll go to a flatbed machine. I'll either use the 7 class or the class 20 or the 26, but the 26, again, sorry, I lost my mind for a sec because that's a cylinder bed machine. So if I need a flatbed, I'm going to go to the 18, the 20, or the 7 class, the class 7 from the Leather Machine Company, because that's a gnarly machine that's even 1 degree bigger than the class 4. So my first impression right off the bat is that these are nice parts, and somebody took a lot of time to design them. I suspect that they scanned everything with a 3D scanner to get the measurements so tight, especially when we're looking at the parts that go into that notch underneath here. I mean, kudos, right? But at the same time, the drawback for me is the edge guide, which apparently is the selling point for a lot of people because it's pretty stable. I mean, look, it's a long edge guide, and you can drive a long strap right alongside it, okay? But when it comes to making the pivot with this notch in it, I just don't see that being very useful. But again, that's just me, and not having used it very much or at all at this point, I'm just kind of bewildered for a minute. So I'll have to update you after I give it a try. All right. But for now, the class 4 table, it's a stout sucker. I feel like if I was doing something really heavy, like an industrial tarp or something, like covering something really big and doing the reinforcement patches in the corner and stuff, and having, 100 pounds hanging off the end of this, it would bend it. Right? Also, it's pretty tough forward and backward, right? But the side thing, it's already flexing right there, and it's just my hand. So I could see a good 100 pounds out there, and then this thing just kind of folding over on itself. But again, we don't have any proof of that. So what do? You know what? Look, the accessory plate might accept the old school swing out guides. So let me go get one of those and let's try that on there. God, I'm glad I noticed that. Okay, so there's some good news about the double edge guide thing. Okay, so here's the old school swing out edge guide. It's available on most typical sewing machines. If you see a flatbed machine, there's going to be a little ring right there with 2 little screws, and that's what these 2 thumb screws would attach, and then this guide goes in there, and there you go. You can still do the process that I'm accustomed to. It's just not using their cool, fancy, calibrated edge guides that come with it. And like a big dummy, I scratched the surface with the guide. So, party foul owl. But, I mean, there's hope, right? So this thing's pretty cool. I just don't sew straps with a table. I usually just use the cylinder bare and get to it. So I'm going to leave this set up for a couple days and make a few pieces and see how I feel about certain things. And then I will report back soon. So this is your buddy Al Bain for Leather, talking about the tabletop attachments for cylinder bed 441 machines and the clones. This particular machine is a Cobra Class 4 that I've had for about 12 years. The table pieces come from Recent Relic Designs, if you want to look them up. There's their card. And like anything else, we only ask for one thing, and that is that you, please, pay it forward.